This conference will now be recorded.
There we go. Thank you very much. We'll now go ahead and ask any of the council people if they've had any citizens' concerns expressed to them that they could bring forward. Seeing none. Christina, have you received any by email?
I have not.
All right. Go ahead.
I reached out to Ms. Arsenault via voicemail, but I hadn't received a voicemail or email yet.
Good. Thank you. So I'll go ahead and entertain, we'll move on to the consent agenda and ask for those, if any of the council members have any concerns with any of the consent agenda, I'd go ahead and ask for a motion.
This is Tom Stevens. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I'm sorry, I'll present it. It's the claims for city operation, the claims for public housing authority, and the minutes of the April 13th city council meeting. I'm sorry. Thank you for that motion. Any questions, concerns, comment from the council? Anything to be pulled by staff? None. We'll do everything by roll call. If I could have a roll call vote, please.
Okay. Shannon?
Yes.
Mackey?
Mackey, yes.
Thompson?
Thompson, yes.
Wood?
Wood, yes.
Kip?
Kip, yes.
Stevens?
Stevens, yes.
Reeves?
Reeves, yes.
Okay. Mayor, the motion passes.
Very good. On to, since there's no old business standing, we'll move on to new business. The first item is the Government Services Center change order request. I'll go ahead and ask for a staff presentation.
John, you'll need to unmute.
Just talking to myself. The change orders, you have two of them in front of you this evening, change orders 75 and 78. 75 is actually a credit to remove security cameras in the interview rooms. This comes as we've actually switched. If you recall, I think it was a couple of meetings ago, we decided to move forward with an Axon interview camera or interview room camera system. So this is taking this the place of that. And then also change order 78 is a add-on to actually change out or put in different lockers. It's the control lockers in lieu of the ALB evidence lockers. And then also to add lockers to room 127. Formerly there was going to be an exercise room, but after some review, the police department has decided to switch gears a little bit and utilize that in a different manner than an exercise room. The hope being that we would be able to look at more of a citywide exercise facility at some future point in time. So again, you've got the two change orders, 75 and 78. Total amount of that's $30,000. Roughly $30,000. Happy to answer any questions.
Mayor, you're muted.
I'm sorry, yeah, the mute button. I'm looking at you, Chief Knapp, but I'm going the different direction. So did you have anything to add? Okay, you're muted too, but that's okay. I got your general intent. Seeing nothing else from the staff, I go ahead and entertain a motion.
This is Thompson. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the change order request as presented.
Mackey, second.
Moved and seconded. Questions, concerns, comments from the council, and we'll start with a roll call.
Reeves?
No comment.
Okay. Stevens,
No comment.
Kip, no comment.
Wood,
Wood, no comment.
Thompson,
Thompson, no comment.
Mackey,
I just wanted to mention to Chief Knapp and even on behalf of our, not on behalf of our police, but a thank you to our police department and our police for being so congenial with the ever swaying economy and everything that's going on with the Sally Port, as well as the exercise room. I think it's really cool that they're showing that they can help us work the city and keep the budget down, but also unify all the different teams. That's it.
Thank you.
Shannon,
Shannon, no comment.
What,
okay, that's everybody, Mayor.
All right, very good. Seeing no other questions, concerns, or comments, we'll go ahead and have a vote, please.
Okay. Mackey,
Mackey, yes.
Wood,
Wood, yes.
Stevens,
Stevens, yes.
Reeves,
Reeves, yes.
Wood, oh, I'm sorry, Thompson,
Thompson, yes.
Kip,
Kip, yes.
Shannon,
Shannon, yes.
Mayor, motion passes.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Well said on the comments, and we'll keep on moving along to the next item, the Government Services Center project furniture. Staff?
This is, as you'll read in the memo, SFS actually went out to bid on behalf of the city early part of this year, January and February. They received several bids back. There was, I believe, 5 different buckets of items to bid on. So that's somewhat for the reason of why there are different vendors being selected here. But ultimately, this is to provide for all the furniture within the police department facility, as well as the entirety of City Hall. So this includes items like typical office furniture, desks, chairs, but also includes conference room tables, large seating areas for the court area, council chambers, so on and so forth. So it is a very encompassing bid. The bid provides for the furniture as well as the delivery and installation of the furniture when that is ready to be done. In total, you're looking at about $220,000 for the police department and about $332,000 for the city hall, again, inclusive of the furniture, delivery, and installation. The only thing I would also note, the police department is a little under budget for the furniture. The city hall portion is a little over budget. Part of that is the city hall portion has 2 ad alternates included on there, one of which is, as you all likely recall, the Parks and Rec offices were not originally planned to be inside of this facility. They were thought to be to remain within the community center. That's changed about some time ago. However, the bid specs somewhat already called for that to be an alternate. So that is between that and then additional, there's, I believe, 2 cubicle type spaces that would be placed on the top floor for future use. Between those two things, it's about $50,000. Vast majority of that is outfitting an entire, I call it a wing section for the Parks and Rec. So again, that's most of the reason for the overage from the budget. I think that covers it. Again, happy to answer any questions anybody might have on this. And then I believe Dana is also on the call as well. There's a lot of information that was provided as part of the packet. So her or I are happy to answer any questions that anybody might have about this.
Thank you very much. Seeing nothing to add, I go ahead and entertain a motion.
Mrs. Stevens, I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of furniture, equipment, delivery, and installation for the new city hall and police station as presented.
Shannon, second.
Moved and seconded, and we'll go ahead and ask for questions, concerns, and comments all at one time by roll call.
Shannon? Questions, concerns, comments? Shannon? Can't hear you.
I can't hear you. Picking up a
Someone
lot.
has some.
I think we,
Roger, do you have any questions, concerns, or comment?
No comment. That's what I was waiting for. I couldn't hear anything, so no comment.
Mackey?
Mackey, no comment.
Thompson?
Thompson, no comment.
Wood?
No comment. I just did notice there was a bar stool being put in somewhere.
Kip?
Kip, no comment.
Stevens?
I was just going to tell Sean, appreciate the additional information because I was curious how close we were to the estimates. So your additional information provided us exactly what we needed to hear.
Sorry, Tom. I did get a note from Dana. I misspoke. We were actually under budget all the way around. We updated our numbers. So that's part of the reconciling that we've been doing between SFS and the city as far as our budget numbers are concerned. But from what we use to budget to work through the financing, we're actually about $30,000 of savings on the city hall furniture. So we're actually under budget, I believe, all the way around. And again, Dana, if I'm wrong on that, feel free to chime in here too.
Well, that's even better then.
Yeah.
Stevens, no additional questions.
Reeves?
Yeah. My question was going to be, is there anything maybe on that third floor furniture that we could leave out for now? But if we're under budget, I guess I don't have a question. Thank you.
That everyone?
Yes.
Seeing no other additional questions, concerns, or comments, we'll go ahead and take a vote, please.
Kip?
Kip, yes.
Thompson?
Thompson, yes.
Shannon?
Shannon, yes.
Wood?
Wood, yes.
Stevens?
Stevens, yes.
Mackey?
Mackey, yes.
Reeves?
Reeves, yes.
Motion passes.
Very good. Thank you. And thank you for all the information. That was very helpful. Moving on to reports this evening, the first of which, the city manager's report. Sean. You're muted.
I'm trying to help you guys avoid the screaming of my children trying to go to bed. Just a few things to kind of go over as we continue to work our way through the new economy and what COVID-19 means for the city. Just one quick announcement. It's based off of staff recommendations, staff within the Parks Recreation Department that we're going to likely forego swim team this year. We'd like to get that information out sooner than later to notify folks so that they can take opportunities other places should other areas offer swim team. Again, this is being done because of the time frame that we're starting to find ourselves in, and then also what a lot of other municipalities and aquatic centers are doing, unfortunately, is having to look at not offering programs or offering them in a different format than what people are used to. So I wanted to make sure that you all were aware of that too. Ultimately, that kind of segues into conversations that we're having internally, staff-wise as well, about the reopening of city offices and what that means. Right now, we're looking at a phased approach. I'm not entirely sure. We're not sure about timeframes yet. I don't think really anybody is, but I think we all understand that there's got to be a certain phase to how we're going about this. Ultimately, we have been able to try to enhance our level of social distancing through teleworking and similar types of endeavors where possible. So step one is reacclimating people back into city offices and ultimately trying to ensure that those offices meet guidelines for CDC to help with the spread of COVID-19. So we're also looking at what that means by way of any PPE that's required or any other types of steps we can take. Again, ultimately, our hope is to open up city facilities, namely the community center, to be as it normally was. That is the last step. But again, there's a lot to that. So I've challenged department heads to work through with their staffs and figure out exactly, what some of their input is as far as getting things back to quote unquote normal. And we'll be trying to communicate those changes to the public as we open up offices, likely for appointment only at first, but then again, the hope would be to get us back to a new normal. But as we all know, a day or a week can change drastically as far as what we're preparing for. So we are kind of taking this one step at a time. With that, I did allude to this a little bit at our last meeting, but wanted to kind of officially go through this with everybody. We have had some, I'll call them very conservative numbers, because it's really based off of projections more than really what we're seeing off of 1 month of data, and that's revenue shortfalls. I think we read these things, we see these things across the board. As a municipality, obviously, we are fortunate to have several different revenue streams, but all of those revenue streams are likely going to take a hit. We're projecting at this point, people are saying around a 25% decrease in sales tax, 15% reduction in property tax. Those are our two highest revenue generating streams within the general fund. But also franchise fees that are paid to the city by private utilities are based off of total revenues. That a case in point would be an electric company. They give us a certain percentage of what they bill within a month. Businesses are closed, schools closed, that revenue is dropping. So we've got that, I believe, around a 15% reduction at this point as well. That is, I believe, our third highest revenue stream. We talked briefly about the casino. That is a significant portion of our monthly income. But again, these are all things that we're taking a hard look at, trying to figure out what the impact's going to be. Right now, on the high end, we're looking at about a $1.3 million shortfall. That's strictly looking at the revenue. I will caution everybody with that. So this doesn't take into consideration some of the things that are, I guess, lack of a better term, pay to play type of things. If there's not revenue coming in, there's not going to be an expenditure for it. Rec programs are like that. But again, we still just don't know exactly what that is, but we are starting to at least try to get a sense of it and try to make changes. This is ultimately going to affect this year's budget. So we did challenge department heads today to go through their budgets and start to look through possible savings. One of which, and I say this a bit tongue in cheek, is everybody's training budgets are probably down this year because there's nowhere to go for training. All conferences are effectively canceled. So there's little things like that that can hopefully help us through this, in addition to maybe holding off on some other things, but more to come on that. Just want to get everybody up to speed that we do expect an interruption in revenue. We are taking, I think, appropriate steps to understand what that is, and then ultimately we'll be back in front of you all, especially as we start to talk about 2021 budget, with what we think we need to be focusing on as far as operational expenses are, and then obviously the capital side of that as well. So again, a lot going on, a lot of conversations with citizens, a lot of conversations with businesses, and then obviously all of our partners that we have across the county, across the state, and across the country, as far as just trying to use every sounding board I think that we have to try to figure out what's a viable way of working through the unknown right now, with a light at the end of the tunnel here. So again, just want to give you guys a little bit of a verbal report on all of that, and just say that we're continuing to try to make lemonade out of lemons here, and ultimately try to keep everybody informed, as well as trying to maintain our essential city services that we have for the citizens of Bonner and the residents of Bonner Springs. So again, happy to answer any questions about that or any other questions anybody might have. Thank you.
Sean, this is Councilman Kipp. The $653 million shortfall Kansas is expecting, how does that trickle down to us? And then on top of that, are there municipal kind of bailout funds available federally?
Yeah, an easy thing to think about from the state level is going to be things like auto sales, or a similar type of revenue stream across the board. Ultimately, the big issue with state funding, at least from the city standpoint, municipality standpoint, is that we're seeing basically all the state acts as a funnel for money, more often than not, federal money to get to local agencies. If those grant programs or those loan programs don't exist, then we can't do some of the bigger projects that we have identified. So I don't want to say it's completely detached necessarily. There are some overlaps there, but thankfully we're not completely subservient to the state budget. Our budget is more reflected on the county side than anything. And then as far as the question with funding for cities, one of the big packages that came through just recently, I think it was the CARES Act, had it in there that municipalities, or rather local units of government, so counties and cities and towns, if you're over 500,000 population, you're given a certain amount of money. Any city or local jurisdiction that's under 500,000 people does not get any direct funding from the federal government at this time. So it's left to the states to distribute that money to some of the smaller cities. So just to give that a little bit more context, in the state of Kansas, there's only 2 local units of government that actually will get direct federal funding, and that's Johnson County and Sedgwick County. It's my understanding, with that all being said, that the legislature, the U.S. Congress, is looking at another aid package that would directly go towards municipal operations of smaller size. So that's something that's being pushed, I believe. ICMA, which is the International City Management Association, the league, the National League of Cities, I believe the Mayor's League, have all taken active roles in trying to push through to Congress that there are more cities in this country, beyond the ones that are over 500,000 people. And we're going to need some help here too. But that's a conversation that is actively occurring in the legislature right now, U.S. Congress, excuse me.
Okay, I put 498,000 people on my census, so we should be good.
Yeah.
Other questions or concerns for Sean? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and ask for city council items, and we'll start by roll call.
Mayor, I had one question for Sean, Jordan.
Please.
Sean, the 1.3 you mentioned, that is annual, right?
Correct.
Okay. Just wanted that noted before I get another email about it.
Yeah, and to be clear, that is only general fund that I'm talking about right now. A lot of our funds are special revenue accounts that we have a lot. And that's a good thing for times like this where we can isolate cost and revenue streams. So again, a lot of our parks programs or recreation programs, our revenue comes in and expenses are out. And typically there's cases of the aquatic center, as an example, that has a subsidy in it. So we take general fund money and put that into the aquatic center. So again, that 1.3 is only general fund, does not include special revenue, does not include enterprise accounts, which is a water and wastewater. Last that we looked at it, this past billing cycle, we were still doing fairly well as far as our typical usage and what we're bringing in. So there's hopefully not going to be any significant changes there, but we'll know more the middle part of next month as we get another cycle of sales tax and utility accounts closed out for the month of April. So more to come.
Sean, Councilman Mackey here again. And just for clarification and reassurance to our citizens, could you mention what we have in approximate in reserves right now to cover that 1.3?
Yeah, we have approximately, I don't remember off the top of my head, and I've got too many Excel sheets up on this. We're somewhere around 5 million, approximately. Again, one thing that we are fortunate to have is a good level for reserves. So we do have the ability to carry on for a period of time without necessarily drastic changes. I hope. Again, this is all still to be seen, and really how long some of these changes take to go back into place as far as going back to normal. And then of course the unknown, I think we all know this, is once things go back to normal, what does that actually look like? Because again, you're seeing guidance as far as opening up, saying limit the number of people to X percentage of your fire code. I've seen that some states are using that as an idea. So my point with that is that if you limit the number of people places, less people are going to be there spending money. Again, that directly affects sales tax. So again, we get a couple of more months into this, we'll know a lot more. By the end of the month, we'll know more than we obviously do today, and it's pretty significant.
Thank you, Sean, for that clarification. Appreciate it.
We'll go ahead and ask for city council items by roll call.
Reeves,
None here.
Stevens,
I've got a few things for Sean. We're going to keep you as the popular guy tonight, Sean. On the economic side, we've got a few projects that are outstanding. I'm assuming the current environment has caused them to be paused, but we haven't heard any feedback that any of those projects are going to be pulled out of, correct? They're still moving forward eventually, as far as you know?
Yeah. As far as I know, and as far as I'm concerned, I would say a lot of things continue to kind of go the way that certainly less emphasis on trying to get things done expeditiously here. I think things are still moving forward, in a way that would signify to me that they want to get things done. We've got a handful of projects and I would say a big one coming through planning and zoning right now that'll hopefully work its way through. but I haven't necessarily seen, from a construction economic development standpoint, anything too significant here. Now, again, you read the tea leaves for some folks as far as what some of the associations are saying and what that means for small business and what that means for the days of Amazon and big business. It's hard to say what's just thoughts and what's actually going to be the case.
Gotcha. And then second, I was going to ask you, it's interesting. I kind of fully understand sales tax, loss of revenue there, casino. I was curious on the property tax. Is it because they're expecting delinquencies in the collections? Is that why
Part of it, yeah. So some of it goes back to delinquency and property taxes. If you've noticed, there's been some news about it, but not a lot, is whether or not the state would delay due dates for taxes. Of course, the point for a lot of folks that taxes are typically paid through escrow for a lot of folks, so holding off on it wouldn't amount to anything versus, the other side of the argument. I think the state has come down and they haven't said anything officially yet. So the closer we get to that deadline, obviously the less likelihood is that they're going to delay that due date. The other part of that was concerns about actually getting out and doing appraisals during this time frame. And then the other concern, although if you look at stock prices for some of the big home improvement stores, was the ability to actually go through and do inspections and things like that. So hopefully, we're able to still do inspections as we normally have. I don't think the county's changed as far as their appraisers going out and doing what they typically do. So the biggest concern at this point is just the ability for folks to pay taxes in a timely fashion.
Gotcha. And then last, it triggered something in me when you were talking earlier about the pool. And I assume, is there a plan to open the pool? And curiosity, how will they handle social distancing when it comes to a pool?
That is a ongoing conversation that we're having right now. Some cities have already, I think Independence is one, Missouri has already noted that they will not be opening up their pool this year. I know the conversation is going on in Johnson County. Our staff are kind of going through those same conversations with those same folks and saying, okay, we're only going to open, these are bigger cities, we're only going to open one pool instead of the 4 that we have, or things like that. Really what it's starting to come down to is 2 things with regard to the pool opening is first and foremost, does it make financial sense? We budget about a $90,000 supplement on the general fund to help get the pool open. So it becomes sort of a financial conversation at some level. Over the last couple of years, we have done a lot better on the pool, I would say, in terms of what we're moving from general fund to subsidize it. But the other big issue is trying to get staff. The longer we take to kind of get the all clear, and to your point, Tom, to kind of go through, okay, what does opening the pool look like? Are we only going to let 20 people in at a given point in time? And then, what are you going to do with the 30 people that are waiting outside to get into the pool? These are all practical issues that that again, nobody's been in this territory before. So it's a lot of grasping at straws, but I would say that's, again, something that is taking a lot of conversations to try to get an idea, involving a lot of folks as far as what that means. And ultimately, you don't open a pool to make money. From a city standpoint, it's about a quality of life factor, more often than not. So again, these are It's a hard conversation. I will just tell you that again, the city staff, Justine, Betsy, they're working tirelessly to, if it is able to open up and you know we're able to do that, how do we do it? How does to your point again, what are the social distancing requirements while it's opening? Do we have to do this more often or limit capacity, so on and so forth? So it's a big conversation, I will tell you, that is coming up time and time again in a lot of the circles that I'm in on a daily basis. Again, because every town almost, it seems, has a pool, and everybody's wondering should they or should they not open it.
Well, I don't mean to horn in, but it was addressed by Dr. Norman at the KDHE this morning on Governor Kelly's press conference. And he made mention he thought perhaps by Memorial Day that they'd be able to have some of the pools open. And, it's all, as this reopening occurs, there'll be guidelines that will have to come down and be in place. And like you said, there may be other factors that factor in on the swimming pool being able to function like normal. It may be staff, and maybe we have to go to 3 days a week, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or something, to be able to staff enough personnel. So there's a lot of different things that are going on, not only virus-wise, but also budget-wise, to get these issues to take place. So it's being looked at by the state as well as the local governments.
I appreciate that information. Stevens, no additional questions.
Okay. Kip?
Thank you, Sean. I appreciate all the feedback, and I really like the budget that you sent out. Thank you. That's very clear and clean. I would definitely hope that we take our time before we decide to close the pool and wait it out. I think there's a lot of people that seems like they're making faster reactions. So it might be something that everything's moving so rapidly right now. A week is a lifetime with events going on. So I hope we take that. And dittoing Jordan Mackey's comments. Thank you, Chief, for adapting and wading through all this stuff as we try and sort through the different things. And again, thanks, Sean and city staff. That's it.
What Kip said, because that's it. So many people working at so many levels, trying to feed into a successful future. Thank you.
Thompson?
I'm going to be a little redundant here, but I think it's anything that needs to be said. I really, Sean, want to thank you and all of the staff and the employees, department heads, everybody. One of the things that I have seen and been impressed as I've come in to be part of this system was the fact that the budget was always done with great care, and an efficient budget, and by the law and by the rules, and there were reserves and there were financial practices that were put in place. And there were your audits each year and certifications, and you all always passed with flying colors. There's another way that a budget is tested, and you all certainly have been tested and passed with flying colors, and that's when there's a crisis. That's why we do what we're doing. And so you've done an outstanding job. And this crisis, I think, is showing that, again, you've passed another test. And the thanks goes to, you, Telly, the staff, everybody, the city, everybody's doing such a great job. And I'm sorry, I'm optimistic. We're going to come through this. And it's because of the great things, the hard work that everybody is doing. So another thank you. Thompson, I'm out.
Mackey?
Councilman Mackey, I had a question about sandstone, or whatever the name this week is for it. Where's that sit? That's a big revenue generator for us. We've got Renfest. We're an entertainment city. So are we still leaning towards making sure these things open?
Mr. Maggie's Billy Knapp, Chief of Police. I spoke with the venue promoters. They are planning to move forward They actually didn't schedule any concerts in June and are looking to move all concerts to July, August, September, and possibly into October. So I would imagine as long as they're open, we'll see what happens with Renfest. But I would imagine if the concert venue moves forward, then they're going to move forward.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Go America. I don't have anything further. Just want to thank Sean for the research on the budget. And once again, thank SFS for putting up with me for a couple meetings. And I'm thankful that I believe we got all that wrapped up and cleaned up for the betterment of Bonner.
Shannon?
Just what everybody said, and thanks. Actually, thanks are really not enough. It's just amazing what our city is and the staff we have, and our police, fire, ambulance, everybody, and our city employees. It's a great place to live, and they've all done great. And glad to be here. Other than that, no comment.
Mayor, it's your turn.
I'm sorry, is that all?
Yep, it's your turn.
Okay, I didn't hear you real well. Well, I'll join the bandwagon too and thank everyone. I'd like to thank all of you council members for the extra effort and the input you all have had through this last little bump, as well as the virus as a whole. The three professionals that we have directing our city affairs, Sean, Chief Knaff, Christina, you three have my utmost respect. These individuals, along with all the other directors in the city, this is their job. This is what they train for. This is what we're doing. And I'm amazed. I get to hear a lot of other local elected officials, and I would put ours up against any. We're well administrated in Bonner Springs, and we'll never know how much they do for us. The police department, the professionalism in dealing with a brand new building. Sean, the management of an entire city during a virus that's unprecedented. Christina, keeping the city functions going through all the connections that you have. These are just a handful of all the things that are going on. So thank you all, and please extend that sincere appreciation to all of the individuals that work for Bonner Springs. I saw a young man this morning in a pickup truck with trash bags in the back of it, a city pickup truck with trash bags in the back of it. And he had been to some of the parks and picking up those things we don't even recognize happen, and they happen all the time. So I'm pretty proud of Bonner Springs, but even prouder of the people that work there. Continuing with the mayor's comments, the reopening task force, I was asked and submitted both Dave Pierce and Dr. Leanne Dietar-Newbert to be a part of the Wyandotte County reopening task force. And they're working right now through a myriad of things. The stay-at-home order, or the precautions that we're under right now, were stepped up to where they're at right now, and it's reasonable to understand that they'll be stepped back down. When people ask me what's going to happen when, we don't have that information yet. It will, most of it will be hinged on medical data that they're getting all the time. There's huge streams of data being generated, and the connection between all the different healthcare organizations. However, there are significant hotspots that are directly related to contact with this virus progression. So there will be new ways of handling things like that. And will we continue to be impacted? Yes. How? We don't know. It may be something as simple as nursing homes now will have a screening method before you're able to get inside of a nursing home for any and all, family members, the like. That was one of the first things that was put in place at area nursing homes, and they have been impacted a great deal. Same way with large gatherings. We were first restricted to 50, then to 10, and I would imagine the restrictions will continue for a period of time for large gatherings, and then be relaxed some until they're all there are no further restrictions. That's what they're expecting for large venues, outdoor venues included, like Providence Medical Center Amphitheater. We don't know the specifics. We know for sure there will be some step down. When and what, we don't know exactly. So stay connected. I tried to encourage everyone to get informed with our, be connected with the local Wyandotte County Health Department website that has a volume of information, as well as the KDHE website for Kansas. There's big portions of Kansas. I think almost 30 counties in Kansas have no cases of COVID-19 virus. So as those restrictions are lifted on those areas, there will be minimal effect. So I would imagine the governor's announcement that will come out later this week will have will seem very significant, but we may be under other requirements because of our proximity to a major metropolitan area. So the Wyandotte County and local governments will have perhaps have more restrictions purely to preserve the huge risk that is involved with this virus. Is everyone going to be at the same risk? Probably not. The more we learn about the virus, the more apparent it is it affects vast numbers of people in the population differently. We have to walk through this slowly and do what's best for the citizens. It would be great to get at the end and say, whew, we didn't have any problems at all. Thankfully for what we've done. That's not going to be the case, but hindsight's always easier to come up with than foresight. So please encourage everyone to pay attention to what the restrictions are for us and pay attention to how it is impacting us. I think it's wise that we continue to consider having virtual meetings like you are in the city as we reopening slowly and making things available in an appropriate manner with appropriate cleaning and PPEs and all these things that we're happen to be doing already. So if anyone has specific questions, I don't have hardly any answers right now, but I know they'll be coming. The numbers of the people impacted in Wyandotte County have gone up about 30% in the last week. The number of deaths have gone up just over that in the last week. So if we are peaking, it's peaking right now. So hopefully we'll see the numbers of hospitalizations continue to go down and the severity of those impacted lessening. However, there are still hotspots that are across the community, primarily in they're hinged around religious gatherings and residential care facilities. So please help those that you come into contact with of being aware of the situation and follow. And we're all role models. We all need to follow the precautions ourselves. And it's been suggested that you maintain 6 feet of social distancing as well as wearing a mask when you're out in public and can't maintain those areas. I'll tell you, wearing a mask is no fun. I have to do it a lot in my business. And please be aware of how you wear it and what you're doing with it. And it protects others more than it protects you. So if anybody has any questions for me, otherwise, thank you all very much. And we'll make our way through. Seeing no questions, wonderful. We stand adjourned.
Thank y'all. Have a good evening.
Thank you.